So we had this company, Vavor, I think that's how you pronounce it. But they sent us out this 8x18 magnetic chuck, and this thing is amazing. I've been wanting one forever. Back in the day, Moto Mule made us that beautiful portrait for our wall. And in that video, I synced it with my eyeballs, him using like an old school version. I was like, I gotta have one of those. These things are super sick. This one I think is in the mid 200s range. But I'm telling you, I have nicked up the sides of my weld table. Exhibit A right here. You can see the shiny edge from where when I'm grinding something like this, I place it on my table and I hit it with that, and sometimes it kicks off. This thing is super sick because you lay it on and there's the magnet all the way off, so there's no magnetic. And then you just flip this big Allen down and it holds it. Like you can pull it off, but your grinder's never going to kick that. It's super sick. And then you just turn it off, you clean all the shards off of it. This thing is awesome. So we'll have links to this in our video description. If you fabricate a lot, I highly recommend one of these. Would you use it for woodworking? No, dummy. Wood's not magnetic. A little floppy, big tight, sand tight. Okay, now I'm gonna make some gussets, kind of like this chair. I gotta cut these down. This is just test fit, boys. I'm gonna notch. I'm not gonna leave them that pointy. That's a freaking calf muscle ripped open if I've ever seen one. But we can trim, mark, you know, slam, dilly-umptious, and then we can gusset that on each side. Because when brake pressure's on this, there's a lot of force going in this. When I'm ripping through, you know, I'm pulling 4Gs through a curve on this puppy. Let's face it, it ain't gonna pull 4Gs. Okay, so I'm gonna get these done, and then our e-brake handle will be, and I've already test fit. This is a perfect, you know, ergonomical feel. So I like this clamp on this Pro Tools notcher because I can use flat stock, which I actually built this clamp. This is the original piece, but I built this whole little mechanism. But it's really nice for doing flat stock. Get some lube. Blaster, Multi-Max, use it for everything. I put this stuff in my cereal. That's a nice notch right there. My old clamp would not do that. It's a little offset. Might want to adjust my thing. That's real nice. How do I not have a marker on me? How? Of all the days, today's the day I picked not have a marker on me. Right in front of a live audience. Look what I got from Chicago. You guys haven't seen that. Brad Hill, the old gas tank guy. The old gas head, Brad Hill. He traded me some go-kart frames for that. And I am super grateful. Thank you, Brad Hill. You are how the French say sweetheart. Look at that. My employee of Quantum. I don't get paid, but maybe. My pedal's dying for this too. We just got problems everywhere. Hey, I've had that thing for like 4 years, so it was like $10 from Harbor Freight. She's done her job, but now you got to kickstart it. Here's nice firing hole. Take the brake off, I'm gonna weld her out. Okay, so I had to pull this axle off and put a brand new one on because I had welded the brake rotor on the last one. So this is an 1/8 inch thick rotor instead of that 3/16, and it gave a little wiggle room between these two calipers. Now both of these calipers are from Go Power Sports. This is a 150 front caliper, and I think this is some sort of mini bike caliper, but it's a dual piston. So we put the dual piston on the e-brake, and we put the small single piston 150 style on the pedal setup. So how this whole brake setup works is this is a UTV brake master cylinder. It has 3 outputs, a rear and 2 fronts. So of course we have our 2 fronts hooked up there, and that small gold caliper is hooked up there. So all the calipers are matching in size on front and back. We bled this out, and how I always bleed them is I use a medicine syringe and I back purge through the bleeder. So I pump fluid from the bleeder back into the reservoir of the master cylinder, and that gets it primed pretty well, and then I bleed them. So we have full braking pressure. This thing bled like butter. Since it's a car e-brake setup, it's got a lot of pressure. This bled in literally like 3 pumps. Sorry, hit my elbow. But that's in a good location. When you're sitting in there, it's perfect angle. I did get my clamps in. I was telling you in the last video that I was going to clamp down this rack. These freaking clamps, these 2-piece collars, was $25 a piece for 34 mil ones. I don't know why, but they was. Maybe it's a weird size, but I got another one down here. So what I have to do is bevel the lower edge down here, because you can see there's a gap, and that'll sink that in, and I can weld it from underneath, do a nice bead of weld on each side, and that'll keep the flex down of that under hard steering. But pedals all hooked up, we got full brake pressure, and we are ready to start assembling it to go test ride. So the jack shaft is next. We got to put an idler sprocket onto the jack shaft plate that we have made for this, because the sprocket, how high the jack shaft is, it's going to get into the side cover of the engine. This is the engine we tore apart in the last video to show you guys what parts fit. I am waiting on a head gasket. I did not have one, but the bottom end is done, and there's a pulley on there, right there. Oh, what's that for, you may ask? That's for a supercharger. So we're going to be putting a supercharger on this old hog and seeing what she'll do. So I got to get the jack shaft done, and I'm waiting on a 3/4 inch jack shaft. I told you in the last video also I accidentally cut it too short. So Go Power Sports is sending one of those out, and we'll get that slapped on very soon. Alright, so this is that engine plate that I made to sandwich in between the engine and the actual engine plate. So this is a jack shaft that the CVT will be on. CVT will be on this side, and in return we'll spin this. So what I've done is I've drilled and tapped a hole in this, and I'll put a nut on the back side. I'm using a grade 8 fine thread 3/8 bolt on there, and I've taken a Go Power Sports pulley. This is a jack shaft pulley that was for a 3/4 inch jack shaft. I bored it out and put 5/8 bearings in each side. This is what you would use on the front of a go-kart, and we have it on there. I just took this straight edge and laid flat on this sprocket, and it just scrapes like so. It's perfectly lined up with the two. So the sprocket will come off the jack shaft and go under this and kick down to the sprocket. The reason for this is the engine side cover is about in this area, so that'll keep it away from it, and we'll have replaceable bearings on this. There's no adjustment, it'll just pull against the chain as you tension this back. So we're waiting on our jack shaft to come in, because this is just a piece of rod stock that I got in here. Go Power Sports is hopefully sending it out today. I forgot to put the order in a week ago. So in the next episode, we will definitely be riding Gravy Bones with the new brake upgrade and the huge power advantage of having a 780. We're gonna have a built 440, and then we're gonna build a supercharged 440 in the meantime. Massive shout out to Go Power Sports for sponsoring this build. This thing's gonna be sick with that 780 running the correct way. That's why we did this whole jack shaft setup, was to run the CVT, the rear pulley, which is the driven. We wanted to run it inboard, and the only thing you have to do to use Go Power Sports 780 pulleys to do so is buy a reverse wound spring. I'm trying to find a good location to link down below. They're not hard to find, but they are hard to find. So I'm gonna see if Go Power Sports will start stocking the reverse wound pulleys so you guys can replicate this setup, because this is the only true way on a 780 to get no belt slippage. And I mean, belts will last you forever with them. Manco Deuces had a 780 ran this way, and I've seen 30-year-old belts that Scott the Deuce Man's running, 20 to 30-year-old belts that's still in great shape. They're getting hard over time, so they'll slip once age gets to them, but they haven't burnt and ruined themselves. So we may be selling some jack shaft setups like this very soon on our website, so watch out for that. We're in contact right now with a plasma table company, and we're trying to get that to be able to make a few little parts. And we'll link all the stuff that we use for this down below, of course. So make sure to check out those links. They help us out a ton. And make sure to check out those magnetic vices. That thing is a freaking lifesaver. It's going to keep the edges of my table nice and clean. So make sure to check those out. They're super handy. Been wanting one forever, and it's awesome to have them in the fleet of tools in the shop. So thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned. The next build or next video, we'll be riding this thing, testing out the e-brake, sliding it around and stuff, and seeing what kind of power it feels like. Super pumped. So make sure to stay tuned, and then the supercharged build will start right after that. So thank you guys so much for watching. Check out those links and support your boy. We love you, and God bless.